Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm your host for this evening, Steve, aka Negative Ned. Frank is away, dealing with a family issue, so unfortunately he will not be joining us. Want to send some thoughts and prayers to him and his family for everything to be okay. Uh, that being said, let's get ready to kick things off. I'm going to post a link so you guys can join the show. This is the show where we talk about the Bruins, the Patriots, the Celtics, and the Red Sox. Get you all caught up to speed on the goings on. Uh, as you can probably see, maybe I got my Super Bowl 60 hat ready, so I'm ready for the Super Bowl. I'm ready to get this party started. Uh, let's go Patriots. We are going to start, however, with we're going to talk about them quite a bit in a little bit. We're going to start with the Bruins for right now. They had a trip to Florida, 2 games down there, one versus Tampa Bay Lightning, and the other one versus the Florida Panthers and old friend Brad Marchand. That trip did not go well, unfortunately. So let's dive in. All right, so the Bruins had the outdoor game Sunday night against Tampa Bay Lightning. It was a good game for the first, I don't know, period and a half, and then things kind of unraveled. Uh, the Bruins, right off the jump, Tampa scored 11 seconds in, and you're like, oh, geez, really, guys? This is how we're going to start? It already feels like it's going to be a long night. 11 seconds in, right? But they turned things around, and they started playing better. They jumped out to a 5-1 lead 8 minutes into the second period, behind 2 goals from Morgan Geekie, who, in my opinion, was well on his way to a hat trick. But the refs decided to intervene and screw up the works, in my opinion. There was, the Bruins were pretty much in control until Jeremy Swayman decided to jump on Brandon Hagel. Now, Swayman made a save, and Hagel was jabbing at his pads, and Swayman didn't like it, went over and jumped on him, started a ruckus. And then the goalie, Vasilevsky for Tampa Bay, started skating down the other end, so Swayman went to meet him, and they went at it, and Swayman got the worst of it. But, all the guys on both benches, banging their sticks, laughing, letting they want the refs to let it go. They did. I thought it was, fun, so to speak. It's an outdoor game, something you don't get to see all the time. But that ended up proving costly. I think Swayman needs to control his emotions a little better. He's causing penalties and costing them in spots when he should not. He's really got to let the other guys deal with it. I get it to a point, but regardless of what the score is, whether you're up 5-2 or down 5-2, you just can't do that. Put your team in a bad spot. So I think it was stupid for him to jump on Hagel. I don't think that's. And I don't know, he's got this ego thing where he's supposed to be like one of the captains and leaders and all this, but dude, you got Kastelik and freaking Zadara for that. That's not you. Otherwise, get out of net and go play wing and drop the gloves. Leave the fisticuffs to the brawlers, because you're not a brawler. So nonetheless, shortly after that, Swayman got a delay game penalty for shooting the puck over the glass, and then Tanner Jeannot got an interference penalty 13 seconds later against, I want to say it was Sam Bennett, who kind of looked like he took a dive. It's really, up for interpretation, let's say, because he's a weasel. He's a weasel after he sucker punched freaking Marshawn in the side of the face that time a few years ago. Uh, he's a weasel in my opinion. But if it was a shorthanded, uh, they put Tampa up 5-3 on the power play, and then not long after that, Sean Corrali got a penalty for closing his puck, closing his hand on the puck, and so the Bruins had like multiple rounds of 5-on-3 with Tampa, and Tampa cashed in. They got 2 goals within 23 seconds apart to make it 5-4 in the second period. Uh, I didn't like that. I feel like it was rigged. Uh, I'm not the only one that said this. Dave Bent, who's a friend of mine, part of our group, said as much. I just feel like they scripted it like WWE style. It's like the NFL buzzed down to the refs and they were like, "Hey, can't have the home team getting blasted 5-1 in this outdoor game, or we're not going to get ratings. So you rectify it." And they rectified NFL style. Just because they were playing outdoors in an NFL arena, they were playing at Tampa Bay Buccaneers football stadium. Just because you're playing in a football stadium doesn't mean you have to rig it and script it like football. I mean, that was garbage. I didn't like the penalties. I didn't like being down 5-3, 3 times in a row. Uh, they don't, just bull crap. I just thought it was bull crap. It totally turned the game around. In the end, they ended up giving Tampa Bay 8 power plays and give only Bruins 3, which is just crap. This is almost like when Jaylen Brown was complaining about only getting 4 free throws to 20 for San Antonio a few weeks back. It was almost the same thing. And I understand they want ratings and whatnot, but I don't like that what they did. And anybody that's a Bruins fan knows that it doesn't have to be an outdoor game for them to get screwed by the refs. That can happen anywhere at any time. It mostly happens up in Canada when they play Montreal and Toronto. They get hosed bad in those games when the games are up there. So I just wish that they did something a little different there. Anyway, third period, Tampa Bay scores. They score with about 9 minutes left to tie it up. So now it's 5-5. And then at the very beginning of overtime, 18 seconds in, it looks like David Pastrnak scores the game-winning goal. However, he actually got a penalty for slashing, and there was definitely something going on between the refs, the whistle, not hearing the whistle. I don't know what the hell happened there, but Pastrnak slashes. I forget who he slashed. Right, so the ref's arm goes up. It's a delayed penalty. They get the delayed penalty, and usually when the team that gets the penalty touches the puck, they blow the whistle. McAvoy's carrying the puck, coming out of his own zone, gives it up to Pastrnak. He scores. Then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh no, it's a penalty." So he goes to the penalty box, and luckily it didn't cost him, but you give him another power play. And I just thought that there was, again, that was NFL like. That was like, it just felt too much like an NFL deal there. That they didn't have their nonsense together. So not happy about that. Not saying it wasn't a slash. He got a penalty. But, everybody, if the first guy's blowing the whistle, if you don't hear it, everybody stop blowing your whistle. I mean, you got 2 refs out there. Blow freaking whistles and make the play dead. Don't wait till the guy scores. So, long story short, they ended up losing in the shootout. Jake Gensel scored the only goal. Crappy loss, in my opinion. Not a fan of that. And you're playing a good team. Tampa's in first place. They've really gotten their crap together over the last month and a half, 2 months. They started out slow. They were in 5th place, 6th place, whatever. But they're well coached. They got talent. They have good goaltending. They they don't typically beat themselves. So you know, tough loss for the Bruins there. Um, Next game, last night actually, as a matter of fact, they go to Florida, and another bummer of a loss. And I don't know what it is. The Bruins have added the toughness, and they still can't beat them. I think Florida, that mucking it up and garbage and crap that they do works, and you got to out physical them. You got to outwork them and out physical them. You got to beat them at their own game, and the Bruins didn't do it in this game. They lost. They lost 5-4 in the shootout. Um, 4 minutes in, they give up a goal on a bad giveaway. Um, not really Swayman's fault. Guy walks in the slot, rips it in. Mikey Isamont scored about 3 minutes later, tied at 1, and then he scored again. Another with about 7 minutes left in the first to make it 2-1. So he got 2 goals. He's been rather quiet because he's been sitting in the press box a lot, and again, part of the reason for that is as I beat the dead horse all preseason and whatnot in the summer during free. They got like 12 guys fighting for 6 spots on the bottom 6. He's one of them, and he's been the victim of not being able to play that much. But comes in, he's got fresh legs, gives him a boost, gets 2 goals. The second one was really nice. He deked the goalie. Goalie's got his pads stretched out, and comes around and dipsy doos it into the net. So nice goal. I'll give him some credit. But not enough. The Bruins, as I've mentioned on here a few times now, they're last in the league in penalties. They take a lot of stupid penalties, and Nikita Zadarov took a stupid penalty at the very end of the first period. He slashed Kachuk, gave him kind of almost like a one-handed, like, what for? Like, hey, whatever. And then Kachuk slashed him back, but Zadarov's the only one that got the penalty because freaking Kachuk was complaining to the ref. And it's like, okay, wait a second. Somebody else didn't, none of the other freaking 3, 2 linesmen and ref, nobody else saw it. Kachuk slash him back. Like, that's bullcrap. I don't like that at all. And he's another weasel. So listen, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start calling them the Florida Weasels instead of the Florida Panthers, because they got some weaselly guys on that team. Kachuk is known, him and his stupid mouthpiece. I know there's a few people that want to see him choke on it. He's another one of those guys, just like Marchand, that's like, if he's not on your team, you can't stand him. But if he's on your team, you love him. Trust me, if he was in a Bruins uniform, everybody around here would love him. But he's a weasel. I don't like that stuff. So I don't know if they'd love him, but I don't like that nonsense. Nonetheless, 30 seconds into the second on that power play, they scored and tied it. And then about 2 minutes later, Kachuk scored from the side of the net and banked it in off of Korpisalo to give them the 3-2 lead. And then the Bruins were on the power play later on in the period and gave up a shorthanded goal. That's another bugaboo for them. I think, boy, I want to say they've given up at least 4, maybe 5 shorthanded goals this year. That's something, for as good as the power play has been, that's something they have to figure out how to clean up, because you can't have that if you're going to be a playoff team. I give the Bruins some credit. They fought back. They tied it at 4 on goals by Mark Kastelic around the 8-minute mark, and Middlestat scored on the power play about 2 minutes later. And, it was good to see him come back. I wish that we'd get over the hump with those guys and beat them more than once in, 10 tries or 12 tries or whatever the numbers are. I'm going to have to look that up. I don't have it in front of me, but lately, their record against Florida has not been good. And they need to fix it. They need to fix it quick because Florida is right now out of the playoffs. I don't expect it to stay that way. They have enough veterans to get in, and they're the 2-time defending champs. So I expect more noise out of them. I don't expect them to roll over and die. It stayed tied through the overtime. They went to the shootout. Anton Lundell scored first on Swayman. That makes it difficult. So the Bruins are playing catch up from behind. Arvidsson scored to tie it. And then it stayed tied and it stayed blank that way through 3 more rounds until former Bruin Brad Marchand scored. And Middlestat was the last shooter, and he couldn't score. So that gave Florida the win in the shootout. So, the Bruins get 2 losses. They get 2 points on the road. I'm so sick of this. Everybody knows where I stand with that. At least they got 1 point on the road and 2 points on the road. I don't like it. But it allowed them to keep the cushion that they have as the 8th wild card, the second wild card team, and be the 8th seed. I want to say before these 2 games, they were 8 points ahead of the people chasing them, the teams chasing them. And now they're only 4 points ahead. Columbus has made a surge. They've won 7 in a row. They have 65 points. The Bruins have 69. So they're only 4 points out of a spot. And, the Bruins need to do some things. They need to do some things better. They got to get cleaned up. They got to stop taking stupid penalties. They got to stop giving up shorthanded goals. And, they got to stop allowing the other teams to, push them around and get these weaselly goals. They got to do something about that too. Before we move on, I do want to mention that that was their last game before the Olympics. They won't be back until February 26th, so they're off for the next 3 weeks. Excuse me. So they have Bruins, as I mentioned last week, they have 9 players representing their countries in the Olympics. I do have the list here. We have David Pastrnak is representing the Czech Republic, and he was named as the flag bearer for them. So that's a high honor. So kudos to him. Charlie McAvoy and Jeremy Swayman will be representing Team USA. Pavel Zacha is representing Czechia. Elias and Hampus Lindholm both representing Sweden. Jonas Korpisalo and Henry Yokoharu are both representing Finland. And forgive me for butchering the name here, Dan Lukmelis. He's in Providence. He's representing Latvia. I want to say USA's first game is the 12th next week, a week from today. They are playing Latvia, I believe. But I think the hockey games actually kick off on the 11th, next Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how I'm going to be able to watch them because they're in Italy. So I'm not sure what the times are. I'll have to look that up. But if the games are, hopefully they'll replay. If they're on at like 3 in the afternoon, hopefully they'll replay it. At night. so we can watch it. 6, 7, 8 o'clock, something like that. So I'm looking forward to that. That's the Winter Olympics. The only things I really look forward to is the ice hockey, obviously, as a hockey fan. And I actually, I did not like this sport initially, but curling I have found to become interesting. That sport where they take that big, huge thing and they swoop it down the ice and they take brooms and they make way for it to come through and bump each other out of the way. That actually pretty interesting to watch. So I'm actually looking forward to that if they have it. So let's that's enough of that now. Let's move on to the Patriots. Where are we? Right here. Here we are, baby. Patriots and Seahawks, Super Bowl 60. We're getting closer and closer now. After a week and a half, all the media day and the predictions and all the media talk and Radio Row and all that stuff. I actually, I have to say that I enjoy. Where did it go? Oh, right there. No, hold on one second. I had something and I lost it. Right here. Here we go. Okay. Sorry. I love listening to sports radio and listening to the guests that they have on Radio Row. I really do enjoy that. So if I had to say, like, a highlight for me personally as a fan, other than the game itself, I would say it's the whole Radio Row thing, because they get a lot of people on from different media outlets and so forth, and you can listen to what their take is, and there's some back and forth between the Boston sports hosts and who those people are. So that's just my personal take on Radio Row and the Super Bowl and all that stuff. As far as the game goes, listen, they got to get it done, man. I'm hoping they get it done. Nobody's giving them a chance. It's not new. They've been in these shoes before a zillion times. Not just this year, but in other years, as you know. They use it as motivation. They use it as bulletin board material. It feels like same old thing. People are sick of the Patriots being in the Super Bowl. They're sick of the Patriots winning. And they are looking at Seattle as the superior team because they played in a tougher division. I'll give them that. Listen, they play in the same division as the Rams and the 49ers, and they beat those teams to win the division. They won 14 games just like you did. And their defense is very good. They have the same kind of pass rush. It's going to cause problems. They have good secondary. But I don't think that their defense is better than Houston's. And it's debatable whether their defense is better than Denver's. I mean, Patriots beat 2 of the top 5, or who they playing the first? The Chargers. I mean, they played 3 of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. This is the 4th. And the Patriots are probably, I don't know, 5th or 6th. I mean, so you're facing all the top defenses, and you already beat 3 of them. So I'm going to be curious to see how we match up with them, and can make them pay, so to speak. The obvious stating the obvious is the Patriots. Left side of the offensive line has to do a better job than they've been doing. Will Campbell and Jared Wilson. Listen, those guys, they got to step up. It's a tall task. It's not going to be easy. Seattle's just as good offensively as you are. I think they put up 27-point-something points a game. They were probably 3rd or 4th in the NFL in points. You were 2nd. Patriots were 2nd. Patriots was 2nd in the NFL, 28.8 points a game, something like that. Sam Darnold's playing much better than he did last year in the playoffs. So that has to be considered. Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver for them, he's sick. And listen, last year when they came here, when they had I forget the quarterback's name. He's on the Raiders this year, and they lit us up, right? And him and Cooper Cup both had long touchdowns in that game last year here. Um, not saying that there's anything you could take away to use in this game, but if I had to pick something, I'd say, listen, don't let those guys get big plays like that. Keep everything in front of you. Don't give up, 50-yard touchdowns or 60-yard touchdowns, whatever those were. And I might even have it wrong. It might have been, might not have been Cooper Cup, might have been DK Metcalf. I forget. But listen, two big touchdowns. You let them guys kill you last year. So look, I'm expecting a tight game. I'm expecting a 3-point game. I'm expecting it to be close. Seattle's favored by 4.5. I don't think it's that wide of a gap. That's just me. And there's some of those, radio people like, oh, the Patriots are going to get killed, and Seattle's going to clean their clock, and this and that. Okay. The numbers, and as I tell Frank, numbers don't lie. I want to say that in the Super Bowl, the underdogs are like, I don't know, over the last like 4 or 5 years, they're like 4-1 or 6-2 or whatever. The numbers favor the underdogs. The underdogs are like not only covering the spread, but they're winning the games. So, listen, anything's possible, and I'm just hoping that they do a good job and get the job done. Same things that the Patriots been doing all year long. I'll give my 3 keys to the game. I'm sure that they're all over the place. I didn't steal them from anybody. I just came up with these right before we came on. They have to keep Drake May upright. You can't let him get sacked 5-6 times and have him running for his life. They got to do a better job of keeping him upright and let him have some time to make some plays. Run the ball effectively. Again, when they run the ball, they don't break off 5, 6, 8 yards at a time usually, but they can get 3-4 yards of carry, control the clock, get some first downs. They did it last week on that 9-minute drive in the snow. When Stevenson was running off, 8 yards here, 8 yards there. They need some of that in this game. Keep the ball out of Seattle's hands on offense, chew up some clock, get some good yardage, control the line of scrimmage. And as we've said, the games are won and lost in the trenches. So they have to be able to run the ball effectively. They can't be, running the ball 3 times minus whatever yards or no yards, and then give up and don't run the ball. And they run the ball like 10 times for the whole game. They need balance. They will have to be able to run the ball effectively to beat them. And this is a no-brainer too. Do not let Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Cup kill you. That'll be a recipe for disaster. I don't know what the exact fix is. I don't think you can stop Smith and Jigba. You got to slow him down. And to me, slow him down means 5 catches, 60 yards, no touchdowns. It's kind of the same thing they used to do with Tyreek Hill. When they would try to slow him down, it'd be like 4 catches for 40 yards and then make somebody else beat you. Right? But don't let him go off for like 10 catches and like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, whatever. You will lose. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. You also can't let Cooper Cup do the same thing. Now, he isn't the same Cooper Cup he was when he was on the Rams, but he's a veteran guy, knows how to get open. I could see him getting 8 or 10 catches for 100 yards, but you just can't let him get the big plays. That's all. Um, the Patriots have to be able to put pressure defensively, which they have been able to do. Having Milton Williams back is a huge, absolutely huge for us. Um, him and Bombo in the middle, getting that push. And, you know, I heard through, sports radio and TV shows or whatever, if the Seattle offensive line has a weakness, it's on the right side. And they give up a lot of sacks, push sacks, so to speak, on that side. So unless Sam Darnold is not mobile the way Drake May is, he may be able to get a first down or two. But if he runs 5 or 6 times for 60 yards, I'd be surprised. So I think they have to get after him. We need to make him see ghosts again. Anybody that's a Patriots fan remembers, when he got drafted by the Jets his rookie year, he had a game where he threw like 3 or 4 picks, and he went to the sideline and he's like, "I'm seeing ghosts out there." It's a big, joke. But they need him. They need to force him into a couple turnovers. The Patriots defense needs to get turnovers like they did last week, 2 weeks ago against Denver, against Stidham. Force him to, fumble the ball or throw a pick. Listen, he had 20 turnovers this year, Donald, and it was the most in the league between interceptions and fumbles. And I looked at the list, and they had the top 5 or 6. And Drake May, for as much as he's fumbled this year, was not on the list. So he's under like 13 or 14 in the turnover department. And that's another thing Drake really needs to do is take care of the ball. Get rid of it, get it out. Don't get sacked and fumble the ball and put it on the ground, dude, or it's going to be a long afternoon, a long evening rather. And it's something we've hopped on here. Nobody can fumble, can't have it. And excuse me. And I owe somebody on the Patriots an apology. This is a public apology to Ramondre Stevenson because at halftime of the Pittsburgh game, after you fumbled all those times, I wanted you shipped out of here. And I have to say Mike Vrabel did the right thing by sticking with you. Really turned the corner the last 5, 6, 7 games. Been real good running the ball, holding on to the ball, getting tough yards like you usually do. Catching balls out of the backfield for big plays, blocking, picking up blitzers. You are now starting to look like the $9 million back that we're paying, and it's nice to see. I mean, this is why he got that contract a few years ago. So, Mondre, I apologize to you. Please have a good game in the Super Bowl. Please don't fumble. I am at this point glad you are here because I don't know what we would have otherwise besides Trevion Henderson. So I just, listen, I shoot straight. That's the whole idea behind this show. And if I'm wrong, I'm not afraid to come on here and say, hey, I was wrong. I eat a lot of crow. I'm used to it. And it doesn't bother me to do so. Listen, we want winners. We want to win. We don't want to see the ball on the ground. We don't want to see 4-13. We don't want to see the crap we saw last year. We don't want to see the fumbles and whatnot we saw at the beginning of the year. We don't want any of that. So, as fans, we're demanding. Excuse me. And, that's what we expect, and if you don't, we'll let you know it. If you do, we'll let you know it too. When we think you guys deserve praise, we give it. And when you don't, we let you know. So that's how it is. I'm going to save my prediction for the game for later on. When we do the predictions. So Hunter Henry needs to have a good game. He's been quiet in these playoffs. And really, the offense needs to hopefully open up and, um, do like they did earlier in the end, put some points on the board. Let's move on to Drake May's shoulder. There's a whole bunch of scuttlebutt about his shoulder. An injury. He fell on it during the Denver game. And, something looks off, or is he hurt, and how is he, and blah, blah, blah. And they had a doctor come on and say that he thinks it's an AC joint. I also heard Dan Orlovsky, who's now on ESPN. He's a former quarterback. He played for the Detroit Lions. He says the same thing. It's a possible AC joint. And he said you can play through it. It's a little painful, but he's played through them. So I honestly have thought this whole time it's a big nothing burger. And people are coming around, oh, no, it's not a nothing burger. He's AC joints, blah, 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 and this and that. And, he's hurt. And we have to see if he can make the deep throws. And it's like, listen, if he was hurt, then he wouldn't have practiced today. I think he was sick last week with an illness. You can kind of tell. Today, listening to him at the press conference, he sounds a little nasally. So maybe he was fighting like the flu or some other stuff between last week and the early part of this week. I think he's going to be fine. I don't think it's an issue. And listen, I could be wrong. Again, I'm wrong, and it's not the first time. It won't be the last time. But I'd be shocked if he can't throw the deep ball and can't make plays. I'd be surprised. So. I just think that people are overblowing it and making a big deal out of it. And listen, when you have 2 weeks in between games, everybody's got to put something. They have to put some kind of 2 cents somewhere. Social media, Radio Row, whatever, ESPN, NFL Network, blah, blah. Everybody's got to take. Everybody thinks they know what's wrong. So I don't know. I don't really think it's an issue. And I hope they get the job done. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping they beat them. So go Drake May. Let's go. Let's switch gears. Let's move along now to the Celtics. The Celtics had 4 games last week. They won all 4 games. Surprising to me because I really thought that they would lose the last of those 4 games. They beat Sacramento 112-93. It really wasn't close. Sacramento's not good. They were up 26 at the half. I watched probably like 3/4 of the game. Didn't even bother watching the rest. Sacramento couldn't do anything. Couldn't get close. Peyton Pritchard 29 points. He was on fire. They shot 18 of 48 from 3, 37%. That's about decent for what they had there. When you're playing bad teams like that, you got to beat them, and they did. They waxed them. The scrubs got some run. Kind of good to see. I think Joe Mazzulla is, he's using more of the bench, more of the younger guys here and there. So a good win for them. Next game they played Milwaukee. They beat them 107-79. Milwaukee without Giannis Antetokounmpo, if that's how you say his last name. I just call him Giannis. Spare me the embarrassment of butchering the poor guy's last name. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, he's stuck. They're stuck without him. He's got a calf injury. They've held him out. I think they said they were going to hold him out for 4 weeks and then reevaluate him. And if anybody's been paying attention to the Achilles tears, there's a lot of speculation behind the calf injuries being a part of the root cause for these Achilles injuries. And, also, on Frank's show, box seats, the guys over there, said, hey, they're not wearing the high tops anymore, and they think that could be a root cause too. And nobody really knows why they switched from the high tops. I can only speculate that the players, when they start making their own shoe and they start getting their own shoe contracts, shoe deals, and they're like, oh, I don't want a high top, I want this. And then you have to play in it to market the thing. That's my guess. If it were to be known that high tops could help prevent those injuries, I'm pretty sure they would switch it back, but there's really no proof. I heard a theory or read a story with some theories, and one of them was that, hey, look, there's no half-court game anymore. Pretty much everybody just like runs up and down. They throw up threes. It's more running and more jumping, and it's more wear and tear on those guys when they're playing 35 minutes, 40 minutes a game, and that could be true. So I don't know how you prevent an injury like that. I don't know what the fix is. And as Jason Tatum is, recuperating from his Achilles injury, the Bucks, I think, are trying to be smart and prevent Giannis from going through the same thing that some of the players more recently have gone through. Kevin Durant, a kid from Indiana, his name is escaping me right now. It'll come to me at some point. Jason Tatum, so there's guys getting these injuries, and they're trying to mitigate it and cut it back. And as far as Giannis goes, it was mentioned today that the Bucks are not going to trade him. They're going to hold on to him through the trade deadline. Lots of speculation about where he was going to go. We'll get to the trade talk in a bit for the trade deadline for the NBA. But Jaylen Brown, another 30-point game, added to the list. Anthony Simons, 27 points off the bench. Guys been real good for the Celtics overall, adding some scoring, much needed in Jason Tatum's absence. 15 for 42 from three, 36%. That's a hair lower than I'd like to see, but they won the game, so when they win, you can't complain, right? So I'm not gonna hop on that. Dallas next game, they won 110-100. Another game that wasn't really close. I mean, it was close in the first quarter. Yours truly dozed off, a good stay awake, so I only saw the first quarter, but it looks like they were up 19 after three quarters, and it looks like they were having their way with them. Jaylen Brown, 33 points. Peyton Pritchard, 26 points off the bench. It looks like Missoula's tinkering around with the lineups. I don't know why Pritchard's coming off the bench, and some other guys are starting. He had Baylor Scheinman in the starting lineup and Sam Hauser for this game. And maybe it's a matchup thing, with the height or speed or just the shooting in general. I don't know. But he's tinkering more with the lineups, I feel, and giving guys more opportunity. Cooper Flagg, the rookie for Dallas, 19-year-old, who actually broke the NBA record last week for most points by a teenager with 45 or 46 points. I forget the number now. 36 points in this game. He's going to be an all-star for sure. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He's good. So, that's a team that without Luka Doncic that they traded away the Lakers, and they're rebuilding. So it's going to take time for them to get anywhere. They're going to add some more pieces, at least one. I think they traded Anthony Davis today, who's a center who's mostly hurt, so I don't really see how that's a big deal. Big loss for them. So, we'll take the W, move on. When they went to Houston last night, I did not get to see this game because I was watching the Bruins because I needed to see Marchand and the Panthers. But they had no Jalen Brown. He was out with a illness or injury or something. I forget what he had. And no Anthony Simons, who was traded. So we'll get to that in a second too. So they had Missoula put Ron Harper Jr. in the starting lineup. It's his first NBA start, and he had 11 points and 9 rebounds. Derek White 28 points, Peyton Pritchard 27, Luka Garza 19 points, Queta 10 points, 19 rebounds. So, the Celtics traded for a center, and they've been getting out rebounded on the offensive boards quite a bit, and just looking at the numbers, looks like they took it personal. It's like, oh, you guys think we can't do it? Here comes 19 rebounds and 7 offensive rebounds from Neemias Queta. And listen, I love him. If you go back and Frank probably doesn't remember, but I did say that I wanted them to give him a chance to start. I wanted to see what they could do with him in the starting lineup. Unfortunately, I think he's just a tad bit undersized, and he doesn't have the scoring touch that they need around the rim for him to start and be effective and play 30 minutes a game, what they need. But I still like him a lot. He's young, 24, 25 years old, whatever he is. He is better suited for a bench role. And so, it's definitely not a knock on him. I hope they don't get rid of him. But yeah, they won rather easily. The head coach, Udoka, and somebody else, they got ejected. At some point during the game, so it was almost like they were shorthanded. 19 for 51 from 3, 37%, about average. So they averaging 36, 37, 38% from 3, pretty good. So that's the game I thought they would lose because Houston's good. I don't know what kind of issues they have. I don't get a chance to watch too much NBA, unfortunately. I'm trying to watch the Celtics, but like I said, last night I had to focus on the Bruins. So 114-93, and I read somewhere that that was payback for the blowout here a week or two ago, and that's definitely a possibility. And so, listen, I think that for them to be in the spot that they're in, the Celtics, they are tied for first place in the division. They're in third place technically in the conference. I did not see them there at the beginning of the year. I saw them 4th or 5th in the conference. I still thought that they would be good. I still thought that they would make the playoffs. And with that being said, I want to talk about the moves they made at the deadline. They traded Anthony Simons for Nikola Vukovic. He's a center. He's 6'9", 260 pounds. He's averaging 17 points and 9 rebounds a game. And he's 35 years old. And he's on an expiring contract. I like this move. I know, and going back and forth a little bit with Frank, he liked Simons a lot and didn't really want to see him leave. But they need size. They've needed a center without Luke Cornett and without Porzingis and without Horford. They got the size they have. Luka Garza, one game he gets 19 points, next game he gets 2. He's okay as like the third center, in my opinion. And so I would have Vukovic would be starting, obviously, and you have Queta backing him up. So there's your depth. I like the depth there. And I like this move. And I remember a few years ago when we got Mike Muscala, the 6'10 shooting guy, big guy. This is way better, in my opinion. This guy's a load inside. He's gonna help get some rebounds, and he's got some scoring touch. So, yes, you lose the scoring that Simons provides when he's getting 27 points a game off the bench, but you got to realize I think they did this for two reasons. One, they need to get on the salary cap, the luxury tax. I'm sorry. They need to get on the luxury tax. And I think they think Jason Tatum's coming back. And so if he's coming back and he's getting 25, 28, 30 points a game, you ain't going to need Simons. And he's on an expiring contract too, and he makes $27 million. So you have to get something for him and not let him walk for nothing. Letting Vukovic walk at 35 years old for nothing, and lopping another 20 million off the salary cap and off the luxury tax isn't going to sting as much. And hopefully, Cueto will be in a better shape next year to fulfill the number one role. And if not, then they got to get another guy. But I like this move for this year because this means that they have better balance. They have rebounding. They got to stop giving up the offensive rebounds. They're getting croaked for the most part, other than the last couple games. So I do like the move. Other moves they made, they traded. Now I couldn't find the particulars, and maybe they're not out yet. But they traded Chris Boucher and a second round pick to the Utah Jazz. That lopped off about $1.25 million of whatever he had left on the books on his contract for this year. They traded Josh Mino to the Nets. I know Frank really liked him. I liked him too, but he kind of fell out of the rotation. I didn't see him out there a lot. They traded Xavier Tillman to the Hornets. And so if you look at the last three guys, those guys were really, end of the bench, 10, 11, 12, whatever in the rotation. Weren't really getting as much run. And by making these moves, they get under the luxury tax and start the process of resetting the repeater tax penalties. So I can't get into the whole thing about that right now. We did cover in the off season a little bit about what the penalties are and so forth, but there's a repeater tax for being over the second apron 2 years in a row or something like that. And then you get penalized. And so they want to avoid that. So they need to stay out of the luxury tax this season and next season to start that process. So I think Brad Stevens is shrewd. He's done a real good job. I can't argue with any of these moves at all. I really like the Vukovic move. And we'll see what happens. Listen, they got another whole half. 30. They got 31 games left. You got the All-Star break coming up. I think next weekend, I think, is All-Star weekend. So I'm curious to see how Vukovic fits in, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, I got a couple of things I want to get to. I got one more thing I want to get to before we wrap up, so I don't overrun. I'm watching the time. The Red Sox. Where's my Red Sox? The Red Sox actually signed an infielder yesterday or today. I missed it completely. They signed Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I apologize if the pronunciation's wrong. They signed him to a 1-year, $6 million deal. I believe he is slated to be the starting second baseman. He is not the big bopper or thumper. Excuse me again, or middle of the lineup presence that Craig Breslow promised us. I'm not surprised because all they're doing is being cheap and stupid. But I will say this. For a stopgap, I like this because the guy can play second base. And it's not David Hamilton, and it's not freaking Romy Gonzalez. And they're not going to boot routine ground balls. Now, this guy won a Gold Glove at third base for Texas in 2020. They have all these metrics and whatnot they use. Strong marks from defensive runs saved in nearly 600 innings at second base. That's good. I actually looked up his numbers. Last year in 56 games at second base, he only made 2 errors. David Hamilton in 68 games made 6 errors. And I want to say that I don't have it in front of me, but I think a few years ago he played more games than 56 at second base and made like, I don't know, 6 errors for like the whole year. So this is an upgrade to me, at least defensively. He's a career 262 hitter. He doesn't hit home runs. He had 2 home runs last year, 40 RBI. Doesn't walk a lot, 17 walks. But he doesn't strike out at a high rate either. He doesn't have like 138 games and, 100 and something strikeouts. He's got like 138 games and 77 strikeouts. So he's going to have some strikeouts, but he's not going to be putrid, I don't think. So, looks like you're going to have Marcelo Meyer at third. Hopefully he can stay healthy. If he doesn't, your backup plan would be to put this guy at third and then put Gonzalez and Hamilton at second, stopgap measure. And given Marcelo Meyer's injury history, I'm expecting that to happen at some point, unfortunately. I would love to see him play 130, 140 games and have good defense. But I think this solidifies the infield. And with the first baseman they added, Wilson Contreras, I at least feel better about the defense. I mean, these guys are not getting routine ground balls, and they're costing, the pitchers, and it's very, very frustrating. I can't imagine being Brian Bale out there and then have routine ground ball and Hamilton's booting it, and then you're like, oh, like I'm so frustrated. I'm so done with him. He needs to start the season in Pawtucket again, or be on the bench and be like the speed guy off the bench, pinch runner. He only hit 198 last year. He's not going to hit. So, he can't field, he can't hit. You got to fix that. 260. Listen, Fenway Park. Maybe this guy gets closer to 275 or 280. We've seen guys that can utilize Fenway to their advantage, but he's definitely here more for his glove. I don't have a problem with it. Like I told you before, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, and I was screaming for former Red Sox Julio. His last name is escaping me. He was on Detroit. No bat. He was sitting like 230, but the glove was like A+. I'm like, get a effing glove in here. Knock this off. So, listen, it's not really what we wanted, but I'm going to take it for now and take it with a grain of salt and see what happens. I mean, they're always going to score runs. They always have games where they score 5, 6, 8 runs in a game, and then the defense lets them down, or whatever. So they've upgraded the pitching staff. They've upgraded the defense here. I'm still not sure they'll make the playoffs, but we'll see. I'll give them a mulligan for right now until they actually start playing some games. All right, let's watch the time some more. Let's move on to the weekly predictions. No, poll questions. I'm sorry, poll questions. Poll questions. Where are you? You are here. Right here. Robert Kraft got snubbed again for the Hall of Fame. Does he deserve to be in? We had 100% yes, 0% no. I think that goes without saying. I think the voters are holding the Spygate against him the same way they did Belichick. I think it's wrong. I don't see how Jerry Jones can be in the Hall of Fame and Robert Kraft is not. The stability that he brought to the Patriots organization over 30-something years. And people forget, go back to the time when they were going to go on strike or whatever, and Jeff Saturday, who was the center for the Indianapolis Colts, came out and said, hey, if it wasn't for Mr. Kraft, we wouldn't be playing football. That's overlooked, in my opinion. He's part of the TV thing, I'm sure. I just still don't see, and I look at Patriot Place and what's going on there. I've probably said it before, and I'll say it again. I never imagined it would be the way it is with the whole plaza there with the not Dick's Sporting Goods. Oh my God, Bass Pro Shops and the restaurants and all the stuff they got there. They got a hotel there. They got all kinds of venues and shops, Trader Joe's. I never envisioned that. I remember before they tore down the racetrack, I said, they should put a hotel here, let the players stay there, and build a new stadium. That was it. I was only scratching the surface. I had no clue. So I think it's unfortunate that he has to wait, and I'm upset because one of the things that's frustrating is he's 85 years old. We don't know how much time he has left. I hope he's around for another 10 years, but I fear that it's next year, or the year after that, when Tom Brady's getting ready to get in 2028, and then he passes away. Then they put him in. That's like, okay, why couldn't you do it when he was here? That's the frustrating part. That's the part that aggravates me. And there's guys getting in before him that shouldn't get in. So there's my rant / soapbox on that. Next poll question: how do you feel about the Celtics trading guard Anthony Simmons to the Chicago Bulls for center Nikola Vukovic? Good move, 100%. Bad move, 0. So consensus is we all feel pretty good about it, which is good. Now on to the predictions. I only had 2 last week. Let's see. Morgan Geeky was going to get a hat trick. Wrong. He was on his way. He had 2 goals against Tampa, and I think he was going to get it. But the refs screwed everything all up, and he didn't get it. Celtics go 3-1. Wrong. They went 4-0. The Houston game is the one I thought they would lose. So 0 for 2. Let's go to this week's predictions and see what I can do with this. Where did I put them? Okay. I'm going to save my Patriots predictions for last. I say Vukovic next week, in his first week as a Celtic, gets a 30-point game. Now, I already know Frank will be shaking his head. No way. You're off. I get accused of making them too easy. This is probably not going to be easy. So I'll go on a limb. I know I did it with Gaza and said he would get a 20-point game. Didn't happen. So listen, I'd love to see this guy get a 30-point game. He shoots threes. It is possible, I think. I say the Olympic hockey, United States will beat Latvia in their first game, and Canada will beat the Czech Republic in their first Olympic games next week. I think they each only have 1 game early on in the week. So I'm going to go on a limb and say they win both those games. Okay, now the Patriots predictions. I'm going to say Trevion Henderson breaks one for a TD. I'm going to say he breaks a long one, like 50, 60 yards, because he's got that breakaway speed. And I think he's going to get one. He's long overdue. He's been getting these run into the pile for a couple of yards of whack. I think he busts through and gets one. That's my prediction for this. Rookie getting a big TD. Okay. Last but not least, Patriots will win the Super Bowl. It'll be a 3-point game. I'm going to say 20-17. It'll be just like when Tom Brady and the Patriots won the first one against the Rams. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And with that, we're going to wrap up the show because we all we got. We all we need. Let's go Patriots. All right. That's the show, everybody. I want to thank you for tuning in. Thanks for voting in the polls. Thanks for the commentary. Thanks for the support. Make sure to catch us on YouTube. And we see you back here next week. Go Patriots, baby. Let's go.